What if you've been missing pieces of the grand puzzle of creation, laws, and humanity's relationship with God? The Book of Jubilees, a mysterious text often called Little Genesis, claims to reveal those hidden truths. Let's explore together. Like, subscribe, and share this journey to uncover ancient secrets that could redefine our understanding of divine history. In the vast tapestry of religious history, few texts ignite as much intrigue and controversy as the Book of Jubilees. Why, you might wonder? Was it excluded from the mainstream Christian Bible? Preserved in the Ethiopian Orthodox canon, Jubilees offers tantalizing expansions on the Genesis narrative, unveiling stories about the patriarchs, the laws of God, and even celestial beings that govern creation. Unlike the Bible's concise approach, Jubilees immerses readers in a cosmic drama where angels manage the heavens and humanity is bound to a sacred rhythm of time. Yet these extraordinary details were also its undoing in mainstream Christianity. Early church leaders feared its controversial claims, like the assertion that the commonly used lunar calendar disrupted God's divine order, would challenge their doctrinal authority. The Book of Jubilees does not merely retell the creation narrative, it expands it to cosmic proportions. While Genesis begins with the Earth's formation, Jubilees starts with the creation of angels on the first day. These celestial beings play pivotal roles, acting as both messengers and overseers of God's laws. Jubilees emphasizes that creation was more than the birth of life. It was the establishment of order. On the fourth day, God appointed the sun, moon, and the stars to govern time, aligning with his divine plan. The narrative introduces the concept of a solar calendar, consisting of 364 days, meticulously organized into 4 seasons of 91 days each. Unlike the irregular lunar calendar adopted by many ancient cultures, the solar system ensured perfect alignment with holy days and Sabbaths. For God ordained that the sun should keep its course according to the divisions of the seasons. Jubilees 2:9. This sacred calendar symbolizes harmony between humanity and the divine, a theme Jubilees reinforces repeatedly. Angels are not just spiritual beings in Jubilees. They are integral to maintaining the universe's order. They regulate the movements of celestial bodies, ensuring that the divine calendar remains intact. Jubilees paints a vivid picture of angels as stewards of both natural phenomena and spiritual laws. One group, the angels of the presence, works directly with God to guide humanity. They were the ones who delivered God's commandments to Adam, long before Moses received the tablets at Sinai. These angelic laws include the observance of the Sabbath, purity codes, and sacrificial practices. And the angels taught Adam how to observe God's commandments written in the heavenly tablets. Jubilees 3:15. This celestial order reveals a recurring theme, that human disobedience, especially straying from the solar calendar, disrupts God's plan, causing chaos in both the physical and spiritual realms. One of Jubilees' most controversial claims is that the world was meant to follow a solar calendar. The text criticizes the lunar calendar, which causes sacred dates to drift and disrupts divine alignment. This deviation, according to Jubilees, leads to spiritual disorder. There will be those who observe the moon and disturb the seasons, making abominable days into days of testimony. Jubilees 6:37. This scathing critique wasn't just theoretical. Jubilees suggests that following the lunar system is a form of rebellion against God's law. The Ethiopian calendar, with its solar-based structure, still reflects the sacred time described in Jubilees, hinting at its enduring legacy. By insisting on the 364-day solar year, Jubilees positions itself as a defender of divine timekeeping, offering humanity a chance to realign with God's will. From the creation of sacred time to the governance of angels, Jubilees sets the stage for a universe steeped in divine law and cosmic order. In the next segment, we'll delve into how Jubilees expands on the stories of Adam, Eve, and their descendants, revealing profound insights into humanity's earliest history. Are you ready to uncover more secrets hidden in the Book of Jubilees? Like, subscribe, and share this journey into divine mysteries. Let us know in the comments what you think about the idea of sacred time and the angel's role in creation. Together, we'll keep exploring the forgotten truths of the Bible. The Book of Jubilees brings a fresh perspective to the story of Adam and Eve, emphasizing that their lives were governed by divine commandments long before Moses or the Ten Commandments. According to Jubilees, God gave Adam specific laws at creation, delivered to him through angelic mediators. And the angels taught Adam all the laws of God, the Sabbath, purity, and sacrifice, as an eternal covenant for all his descendants. Jubilees 3:10. From the very beginning, Adam and Eve were tasked with observing the Sabbath, a day sanctified by God as a cosmic principle. The Sabbath wasn't just a day of rest, it was a foundation for aligning humanity with the rhythms of creation. Angels, known as the angels of the presence, instructed Adam and Eve on the rules of holiness, sacrifice, and moral conduct. This revelation challenges traditional interpretations that suggest divine law began with Moses. Instead, Jubilees presents these laws as eternal, written on heavenly tablets before creation. While Genesis focuses on Adam and Eve's disobedience in eating the forbidden fruit, Jubilees deepens the narrative by exploring the cosmic consequences of their actions. The fall of humanity is not only a moral failing, but also a disruption of God's divine order. After their expulsion from Eden, Adam and Eve were reminded of God's covenant and the importance of returning to the laws they had been taught. The Sabbath remained central, along with practices of sacrifice and purity, which were meant to restore humanity's connection with the divine. Jubilees also sheds light on the lives of Adam and Eve's children, Cain and Abel. While Genesis recounts the murder of Abel, Jubilees emphasizes the spiritual ramifications of Cain's actions. His sin is seen as the first major breach of divine law, a pattern of disobedience that would echo through generations. In the wake of Abel's death and Cain's exile, the Book of Jubilees highlights Seth, Adam and Eve's third son, as the progenitor of righteousness. Seth's lineage is portrayed as the line through which God's covenant continues. Guided by angelic instruction, Seth and his descendants adhered to the divine commandments that Cain had rejected. This righteous lineage is critical for setting the stage for Noah and the covenant that would come after the flood. Jubilees portrays the descendants of Seth as keepers of sacred knowledge, ensuring that God's laws were preserved even as humanity fell into corruption. And Seth taught his children the commandments of the Lord, written on the heavenly tablets, that they might not stray from the paths of righteousness. Jubilees 4:10. The story of Noah and the flood takes on a richer dimension in the Book of Jubilees. While Genesis focuses on Noah's obedience in building the ark, Jubilees delves deeper into the moral decay that necessitated the flood. Before the flood, humanity was corrupted not only by sin, but also by the influence of the Nephilim, offspring of fallen angels and human women. Jubilees provides vivid details about how these giants introduced forbidden knowledge and disrupted the natural order. And all flesh corrupted its way, like men, cattle, and birds of the air, and lawlessness increased on the earth. Jubilees 5:2. Noah's role extends beyond survival. Jubilees emphasizes his covenant with God, which included laws of purity and sacrifice. These laws, which predate the Mosaic commandments, were given to Noah as a foundation for restoring divine order after the flood. Jubilees aligns the timing of the flood with the sacred calendar, underscoring its cosmic significance. According to the text, the flood began and ended on dates that were preordained on the heavenly tablets. This detail reinforces the idea that even catastrophic events like the flood are part of God's divine plan. Noah's post-flood covenant includes the continued observance of the Sabbath and the sacred calendar. The book highlights that these practices were not innovations, but restorations of laws given to Adam and carried through Seth's line. And God established the Sabbath with Noah and his sons, that they might keep it as an eternal covenant for all generations. Jubilees 6:10. As Jubilees expands on the stories of Adam, Eve, and Noah, it paints a vivid picture of humanity's divine origins and the sacred laws that were meant to guide us. In the next segment, we'll explore Abraham's revolutionary faith and how the patriarchs upheld the divine commandments long before Moses received the law. What do you think about the idea that God's laws were given to Adam and Noah long before Mount Sinai? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into ancient biblical mysteries. By exploring texts like Jubilees, we can uncover hidden truths that deepen our understanding of God's divine plan. The Book of Jubilees adds rich layers to the story of Abraham, taking us back to his youth, where he grew up surrounded by idolatry. According to Jubilees, Abraham's father, Terah, was deeply entrenched in pagan practices. Despite this environment, Abraham began questioning the validity of idol worship, eventually rejecting it entirely. And Abraham said, "My father, these idols you worship are powerless, for they are made by the hands of men. I will not bow before them." Jubilees 12:7. Jubilees describes Abraham as a spiritual revolutionary who destroys his father's idols, a bold act of defiance that sets him apart as a man destined to restore God's covenant on earth. This dramatic scene, absent from Genesis, emphasizes Abraham's early commitment to the one true God. One of the most striking differences between Genesis and Jubilees is the claim that Abraham was given divine laws long before Moses. According to Jubilees, these commandments were revealed to Abraham through angelic beings and were part of the eternal laws written on the heavenly tablets. And the angels of the Lord taught Abraham the laws of the Sabbath, sacrifices and purity, and he observed them as an eternal covenant. Jubilees 13:25. Jubilees portrays Abraham not just as a man of faith, but as a keeper of sacred knowledge. The laws he followed, including the observance of the Sabbath, were seen as a continuation of the commandments given to Adam and Noah. This challenges the traditional view that these practices began with the Mosaic Law. While Genesis highlights circumcision as a sign of Abraham's covenant with God, Jubilees elevates it to a cosmic principle. According to Jubilees, circumcision was not just a physical act, but an eternal law inscribed on the heavenly tablets. And the law of circumcision was written on the heavenly tablets as an eternal ordinance for all generations. Jubilees 15:25. This depiction frames circumcision as part of a divine order that governs both heaven and earth. By aligning himself with this law, Abraham demonstrates his faith and obedience, ensuring that his descendants remain part of God's eternal covenant. The Book of Jubilees retells the dramatic story of the binding of Isaac, adding a spiritual warfare element. While Genesis depicts it as a test of Abraham's faith, Jubilees reveals that Mastema, a figure often associated with Satan, proposed the test to God, hoping Abraham would fail. And Mastema said to the Lord, "Let us test Abraham, that we may see whether he is truly faithful to you." Jubilees 17:16. This narrative transforms the event into a cosmic battle between good and evil. Abraham's willingness to sacrifice Isaac not only proves his faith, but also triumphs over the forces of darkness. Angels intervene at the last moment, affirming God's promise to Abraham and his descendants. After the binding of Isaac, Jubilees emphasizes that Abraham's faithfulness secured his role as the father of a chosen people. The laws he observed were passed down to Isaac and Jacob, ensuring that the covenant would endure through generations. And Abraham charged Isaac with the commandments of the Lord, that he might walk in the ways of righteousness and teach his children the laws written on the heavenly tablets. Jubilees 18:23. Abraham's legacy in Jubilees is not just about faith, but about obedience to divine laws that align with the cosmic order. His story underscores the idea that God's commandments are eternal, transcending time and human history. As we delve deeper into the Book of Jubilees, we see how Abraham's unwavering faith and obedience set the stage for the continuation of God's covenant through Isaac and Jacob. In the next segment, we'll explore Jacob's role in preserving the divine laws and the cosmic significance of his family's destiny. Does Abraham's role as a keeper of divine commandments reshape your understanding of his story? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to explore more about ancient texts and their cosmic insights. By examining these hidden stories, we uncover profound lessons about faith, obedience, and God's eternal plan. In Genesis, Jacob and Esau's rivalry is presented as a family conflict, but the Book of Jubilees elevates it to a cosmic level. From their birth, Jubilees portrays Jacob as the chosen one, destined to inherit the covenant of Abraham, while Esau represents rebellion against divine order. Two nations shall be divided from your womb, and one shall be greater than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger, as written on the heavenly tablets. Jubilees 19:13. Jubilees reveals that Isaac and Rebekah were given divine insight into their sons' destinies. Jacob's actions, often criticized as cunning, are reframed as part of God's preordained plan. Esau, on the other hand, is depicted as rejecting his birthright, aligning himself with a path of rebellion. After receiving the blessing from Isaac, Jacob's journey takes on profound spiritual significance. In Genesis, Jacob dreams of a ladder connecting heaven and earth, but Jubilees expands on this event. The text describes how angels not only appeared to Jacob, but also delivered divine instructions. And the Lord spoke to Jacob through his angels, saying, "I will give this land to you and your descendants, and you shall keep my commandments forever." Jubilees 27:19. Jacob's vision is not just a personal revelation, it is a reaffirmation of the covenant. The angels reveal the laws written on the heavenly tablets, which Jacob is charged to follow and pass on to his children. These laws include the Sabbath, purity codes, and the observance of sacred time. In Genesis, Jacob's 12 sons are born through his wives Leah and Rachel and their maidservants Bilhah and Zilpah. Jubilees adds a layer of divine orchestration, suggesting that the births of these sons were part of a preordained plan recorded on the heavenly tablets. And their destinies were written before they were born, that they might become the 12 tribes of Israel and fulfill the Lord's covenant. Jubilees 28:14. Jubilees emphasizes the sacred timing of these births, aligning them with the divine calendar. Each son represents a tribe with a unique spiritual responsibility, chosen to uphold God's commandments and ensure the continuation of the covenant. Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, loses his status due to a grave transgression, and Jubilees elaborates on the consequences of this sin. His actions disqualify him from leadership, paving the way for Judah to emerge as the tribal leader and Levi to take on the priesthood. And Reuben's sin was recorded on the heavenly tablets, and Judah was chosen as the prince and Levi for the priesthood forever. Jubilees 33:10. This shift underscores God's cosmic plan. Judah's role as the ancestor of kings and Levi's priestly lineage are portrayed as divinely ordained, ensuring the spiritual and temporal leadership of Israel. While Genesis focuses on the inheritance of land, Jubilees highlights the spiritual mission of the 12 tribes. Each tribe is entrusted with preserving God's laws and fulfilling the covenant established with their ancestors. And the Lord said to Jacob, "These are the laws your sons shall keep, written on the heavenly tablets, that they may walk in righteousness and teach all nations my ways." Jubilees 29:6. The tribe's destinies are tied to the larger cosmic order, portraying their mission as part of a divine plan to restore humanity to alignment with God's will. With the rise of the 12 tribes, the Book of Jubilees sets the stage for the unfolding destiny of Israel. In the next segment, we'll delve into the story of Joseph, his betrayal by his brothers, and how his journey to Egypt fulfills a cosmic purpose foretold on the heavenly tablets. What does it mean that the destinies of Jacob's sons were written in the heavenly tablets? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this exploration of Jubilees' cosmic vision of biblical history. Together, we'll uncover more hidden truths in the next chapter. The Book of Jubilees offers a deeper spiritual perspective on the story of Joseph. While Genesis portrays his brother's betrayal as a family conflict fueled by jealousy, Jubilees describes it as a violation of divine law, recorded on the heavenly tablets. And his brothers sold Joseph into slavery, and their sin was inscribed on the heavenly tablets, for they had transgressed the eternal laws of God. Jubilees 34:4. This act, Jubilees emphasizes, disrupted the divine order and brought spiritual consequences, not only for Joseph's brothers, but for their descendants. Their betrayal prefigures the suffering of Israel in Egypt, tying their sin to the larger narrative of exile and redemption. Joseph's rise to prominence in Egypt is a well-known story in Genesis, but Jubilees frames his journey as part of a divine plan, preordained on the heavenly tablets. Joseph's wisdom and ability to interpret dreams are depicted not just as personal gifts, but as tools given by God to fulfill his purposes. And it was written on the heavenly tablets that Joseph would save his family and the nations of Egypt. And through him, the sons of Israel would be bound in Egypt for a time. Jubilees 42:2. Joseph's rise serves a dual purpose: to preserve his family during a time of famine and to set the stage for the Exodus, a pivotal event in God's plan for Israel. Jubilees introduces a recurring theme of angelic intervention in Joseph's life. From the moment he is sold into slavery, angels protect and guide him, ensuring that he remains faithful to God and fulfills his destiny. And the angels of the Lord guarded Joseph on his journey to Egypt, for his life was precious in the eyes of God. Jubilees 34-21. This divine protection underscores the cosmic significance of Joseph's role. His journey is not a random series of events, but a carefully orchestrated path, safeguarded by angelic beings. Jubilees connects Joseph's story to the larger narrative of the Exodus, portraying him as a prophetic figure who foresees Israel's eventual enslavement and deliverance. Before his death, Joseph speaks to his brothers about God's promise to bring them out of Egypt. And Joseph said, "God will surely visit you and bring you to the land he swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for this has been written on the heavenly tablets." Jubilees 46:9. This prophecy ties Joseph's life to the grander cosmic plan, emphasizing that his role is not just to save his family, but to prepare them for their future as God's chosen people. The transition from Joseph's leadership to Israel's enslavement is portrayed in Jubilees as a fulfillment of divine prophecy. The text emphasizes that Israel's time in Egypt was preordained as a necessary trial to lead them toward their ultimate destiny. And it was written on the heavenly tablets that the children of Israel would be oppressed in Egypt, and the Lord would bring them out with great wonders. Jubilees 48:1. This perspective frames the Israelites' suffering as part of God's cosmic plan, a period of refinement that prepares them for the covenant at Sinai. Jubilees introduces Mastema, a figure associated with Satan, as a key antagonist during Israel's time in Egypt. Mastema is portrayed as hardening Pharaoh's heart and intensifying Israel's suffering, turning the oppression into a spiritual battle. And the prince of Mastema sought to destroy the children of Israel, but the Lord raised his hand against him to deliver his people. Jubilees 48:9. This cosmic conflict adds another dimension to the Exodus story, highlighting the spiritual forces at play behind the physical events. With Joseph's story setting the stage for Israel's bondage and deliverance, the Book of Jubilees transitions to the dramatic events of the Exodus. In the next segment, we'll explore how Jubilees expands on the plagues, the crossing of the Red Sea, and the giving of the law at Mount Sinai. What do you think about the role of angels and the cosmic plan behind Joseph's journey? Share your insights in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and spread the word as we continue uncovering the hidden depths of the Book of Jubilees. Stay tuned for the next chapter in this epic story. In the Book of Jubilees, the 10 plagues of Egypt are not just acts of divine justice, but also a cosmic battle against Egypt's gods and the spiritual forces aligned with Mastema. Jubilees portrays each plague as an intentional dismantling of Egypt's false power structures. And the Lord sent the plagues upon Egypt to show that their gods were powerless before him, for they were false and could not stand against his might. Jubilees 48:11. Each plague is described as both a judgment and a demonstration of God's sovereignty, underscoring that Israel's deliverance was part of a grand, divine plan. Jubilees intensifies the spiritual conflict by attributing Pharaoh's stubbornness to the influence of Mastema, the prince of evil spirits. Mastema is portrayed as actively working to keep Israel enslaved, turning the Exodus into a battle between God's will and the forces of darkness. And Mastema hardened the heart of Pharaoh that he might not let the people go, and the Lord showed his power over him. Jubilees 49:6. This conflict highlights the spiritual stakes of the Exodus, emphasizing that Israel's liberation was not just a political event, but a cosmic victory. The timing of the Exodus aligns perfectly with the sacred calendar emphasized throughout Jubilees. The text reveals that the Passover, celebrated on the 14th day of the first month, was not an arbitrary date, but one ordained on the heavenly tablets. And it was written on the heavenly tablets that the Passover would be kept forever on the 14th day of the first month, for this was the night the Lord delivered his people. Jubilees 49:1. This alignment reinforces the importance of sacred time, a recurring theme in Jubilees. Observing the divine calendar becomes an act of obedience and a way to remain in harmony with God's will. While Genesis and Exodus depict the miraculous crossing of the Red Sea as a physical deliverance, Jubilees frames it as a spiritual victory over Mastema and his forces. The parting of the sea is described as an act that confounds the powers of evil. And the Lord commanded the waters to divide, and his angels stood guard over Israel as they crossed, for this was a sign of his victory over Mastema. Jubilees 49:18. Jubilees presents the crossing as both a moment of deliverance and a declaration of God's ultimate authority over creation. Jubilees places great emphasis on the laws given to Moses at Mount Sinai, portraying them not as new commandments, but as a restoration of the eternal laws written on the heavenly tablets. The Sabbath, purity codes, and calendar laws were all reaffirmed, emphasizing their cosmic significance. And the Lord said to Moses, "These are the laws written on the heavenly tablets that you shall teach the children of Israel, that they may walk in them forever." Jubilees 6:30. The laws are described as binding not only for Israel, but for all creation, reflecting their eternal nature. Jubilees emphasizes the role of angels as mediators between God and Moses during the giving of the law. These angelic beings are portrayed as stewards of the heavenly tablets, ensuring that the laws are accurately conveyed. And the angels of the Lord delivered the tablets of the law to Moses, that he might teach the children of Israel all that was written therein. Jubilees 50:1. This detail reinforces the idea that the Mosaic law is part of a larger cosmic framework guided by celestial beings. With the Exodus complete and the law given at Sinai, the Book of Jubilees begins to focus on Israel's role as the chosen people, tasked with upholding the divine commandments. In the next segment, we'll explore how Jubilees connects the Mosaic law to the Patriarchs and its vision for the Messianic kingdom. What do you think about the spiritual battle behind the Exodus? Does this perspective change how you view the plagues or the parting of the Red Sea? Share your thoughts in the comments and be sure to like, subscribe, and share to continue uncovering the hidden wisdom of the Book of Jubilees. Let's dive deeper together into this ancient cosmic narrative. Jubilees asserts that the laws given to Moses at Mount Sinai were not unique to his time, but were part of an eternal covenant established long before. These laws, including the Sabbath, purity codes, and sacrificial practices, are presented as pre-existing ordinances written on the heavenly tablets. The law and the testimony were ordained before the foundation of the world, written on the heavenly tablets as a guide for all generations. Jubilees 6:17. This perspective challenges the notion that the Mosaic law was a temporary or Israel-specific covenant. Instead, Jubilees portrays it as a universal and timeless code meant to align humanity with divine order. Jubilees emphasizes that the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, observed the same laws later given to Moses. The text describes how these commandments were passed down through angelic instruction, ensuring that the covenant remained unbroken. And Abraham kept the Sabbath, circumcised his household, and followed the commandments of the Lord, for they were written on the heavenly tablets and revealed to him by the angels of God. Jubilees 16:28. This depiction elevates the patriarchs as faithful custodians of divine law, reinforcing the idea that these commandments were not new, but part of an eternal framework. Jubilees portrays Israel as the chosen nation tasked with preserving and upholding God's laws for all humanity. The text highlights the sacred mission of the 12 tribes, emphasizing their role as stewards of the covenant. And the Lord said to Moses, "You shall teach the children of Israel to walk in my ways, for they are a holy nation, set apart to be a light to the nations." Jubilees 7:23. This sacred responsibility underscores Israel's spiritual mission, linking their obedience to the fulfillment of God's cosmic plan. A recurring theme in Jubilees is the importance of the divine calendar. The text emphasizes that following the 364-day solar calendar is not just a practical matter, but a spiritual necessity. Deviating from this sacred timekeeping system, as with the adoption of the lunar calendar, is portrayed as a form of rebellion against God. And the Lord said, "Observe the Sabbath and the festivals according to the times written on the heavenly tablets, that you may walk in harmony with my creation." Jubilees 50 verse 5. By aligning with the divine calendar, humanity can participate in the cosmic order established at creation. Jubilees concludes with a vision of the Messianic kingdom, a time when God's laws will be fully observed and creation will be restored to its intended harmony. The text describes a future where the righteous inherit the earth, and the forces of evil, led by Mastema, are utterly defeated. And the Lord will establish his kingdom on earth, and the righteous shall dwell with him forever, for his law shall be written on their hearts. Jubilees 50:13. This messianic vision ties the themes of the book together, presenting the ultimate fulfillment of God's plan as the restoration of his divine order. In the end times, Jubilees describes the binding of Mastema, symbolizing the triumph of good over evil. This act marks the culmination of the cosmic battle that has been woven throughout the narrative. And the Lord shall send his angels to bind Mastema and cast him into the abyss, and his dominion shall be ended forever. Jubilees 23:29. This event paves the way for the eternal reign of righteousness, where God's law governs all creation. The Book of Jubilees offers a profound cosmic vision of history, tying together the stories of creation, the Patriarchs, the Exodus, and the Messianic future. Its emphasis on eternal laws, sacred time, and the spiritual significance of Israel's mission challenges us to rethink the biblical narrative in a broader context. What do you think about the Book of Jubilees' portrayal of an eternal law in a Messianic kingdom? Does it deepen your understanding of biblical history? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you found this exploration enlightening, be sure to like, subscribe, and share to help uncover these ancient truths. Together, we can continue exploring the mysteries of God's divine plan. Stay tuned for more.